In this video, we're going to discuss customizing the miscellaneous pricing form for pricing parts using dynamic list. We're going to cover some of the reasons why you would want to use this form, also why you would want to clone the product and rename it to fit your own needs. We'll begin by creating the part category, then some parts, and a new selection list that will pull those new parts into the product that you will clone. Then we will assign the new selection list to your clone miscellaneous form. And finally, we'll go over a brief review. Currently in control, the miscellaneous pricing form is a sort of a catch-all that you can type in the name of any item, whether or not you have a part associated with it, or whether or not you have it in stock, and assign a cost to it, a markup, and then a retail price. We're going to customize the miscellaneous form and use it specifically for various part categories that you can create in your system. It's ideal for finished goods that you keep in stock, items that fit no other category. It's also good for selling stock media or substrates and prepackaged items. You can clone the miscellaneous form to cover any number of part categories that you will want to use a selection list to locate that part or that finished good and have it produce a price based on the cost and multiplier of that item. The first step in setting up your custom miscellaneous product is to create a part category and the parts that are going to go in that category. Let's take a look in Control how we're going to do that. For our example, we're going to create a pricing form to sell baseball caps that we keep in stock. So the first thing that we're going to do is go to our Setup, Pricing Setup, All Pricing Setup, and then here in my major components list on the left, I will select Part Setup, and I'm going to expand Materials. Now at this point we can create a new subcategory under Materials, and I'm going to do that by highlighting Materials and creating a new part subcategory with this button here. I'm going to call my new category name Baseball Caps, and I'm going to save it. We're going to go ahead and add a couple of parts or caps to our category by selecting New Part, and the first one we'll call LSU Cap. The consumption will be each, and the cost here will be the fixed cost that you pay for the cap. You can either use a default multiplier, a custom multiplier, or a use this price option. And so what we'll do here is just use a custom multiplier of 2 and save our part. To add other caps to our category, I'm just going to take the LSU cap here, clone it, and rename it University of Texas Caps, and we will then adjust our cost on these as well. These are only $1.25, and we'll mark them up with a multiplier of 2 as well. Okay, let's go ahead and add a final cap to our system. Do it the same way by cloning an existing part, renaming it Roll Tide Caps, and again we will adjust our price here and have our multiplier of 2. Let's go ahead and save it. So what we've created here is a part subcategory called baseball caps with 3 parts or cap types underneath the main subcategory: LSU caps, Roll Tide caps, and University of Texas caps. The next step in customizing our miscellaneous form is creating the selection list. To create your selection list in Control, go to Setup, Pricing Setup, All Pricing Setup, and in the Major Components section on the left, select Selection List. To create your selection list in Control, expand the or highlight the Miscellaneous subcontract category, select New List, and name it after the category that you had just created, in this case baseball caps. Once you've done that, go into Insert Row and add a dynamic part category. And you're going to point that dynamic part category to the category that you just created, in this case baseball caps. Once we've done this, a very important detail that we can't leave out is under in the default row, which is normally going to be the top row, expand the ellipse under consumption formula and make sure that this formula reads quantity. Click OK, and now save your selection list. The third and final step of setting up our custom miscellaneous pricing form is cloning the product, renaming it, and attaching the new selection list. In Control, go to Setup, Pricing Setup, All Pricing Setup. Under Major Components, make sure that Product Setup is selected. Expand the Miscellaneous column in the center and highlight the Miscellaneous product. To the right on the Action toolbar, hit Clone, and you've now successfully cloned the Miscellaneous product. At this point, we'll want to rename our product to baseball cards, or baseball caps. And then we need to take a look at our variables. The variable that contains the selection list for the miscellaneous pricing form is the subcontract item name. We need to highlight the subcontract item name, override the variable, and over here where it has the default list, we need to change this from item name to the list that we created called baseball caps. At this point, we can save. Now, we have now created our product called baseball caps. We have attached the selection list to the subcontract item name variable, and we should now be able to price baseball caps based on the parts that we have in the system. And now to test our new product and pricing, just go to New, Order or Estimate, expand Miscellaneous, and double click on the product that you've created. And now we have a dedicated product to sell the parts in the part categories that we've created. And if we use the drop down here, we'll see that the parts or caps that we placed under that category are now in our selection list. If we select the caps, we will see the various pricing based on the fixed cost times the multiplier appear in our pricing form. So to recap, creating your custom miscellaneous pricing form to price based on dynamic links, you first create your part category and add the parts to the category. The second step is creating the selection list, which is generally going to be named after the part category that you just created, and you will point that selection list to the part category. The third step is cloning the miscellaneous pricing form, renaming it, and attaching the new selection list. And that concludes this video. I hope you found it helpful.